Captain Daewon Kim stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge and watched the massive alien station grow larger on the viewing screen. His hands were steady, but his heart beat faster than normal. This was it. First contact with the Galactic Council. Everything humanity had dreamed about for centuries was about to become real. The station was enormous. It looked like a silver flower with 12 petals, each one bigger than Earth's largest city. Lights flickered across its surface, in colors Daewon had never seen before. Ships of strange shapes moved around it like fish in an ocean. Some had wings. Some were just spheres. Others looked like they should not be able to fly at all. "Captain, we're receiving their docking instructions," said Jiwon Lee from the communications station. The young engineer's voice was calm, but Daewon could see the excitement in her eyes. She had worked for 5 years to make this moment possible. "Follow them exactly," Daewon replied. "No mistakes today." Behind him, Dr. Hana Park checked her tablet for the 100th time. The scientist had been chosen to advise on any technology the aliens might show them. She was brilliant, but right now she looked nervous. "Do you think they'll be friendly?" she asked quietly. Daewon glanced at her. "We're about to find out." The ship docked smoothly. Daewon led his team through the airlock and into the station. Ambassador Tae-Yong Cho was waiting for them. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had arrived 2 weeks earlier on a faster ship to prepare for this moment. "Captain," Cho said, shaking his hand. "Dr. Park. Miss Lee. Welcome to the Galactic Council. I hope you're ready. Today will change everything." They walked through corridors that seemed to be made of light itself. The walls glowed softly. Strange beings passed them, some walking, some floating, some moving in ways that made no sense. A creature that looked like a walking tree nodded at them. Something that seemed to be made of blue smoke drifted past. Finally, they entered a massive chamber. It was shaped like a bowl, with seats rising up on all sides. In those seats sat representatives of 47 different species. Some looked almost human. Others were so alien that Daewon's mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. At the center of the bowl stood a being that appeared to be very old. Its skin was pale silver and seemed to shift like water. Its eyes were completely black. When it spoke, the words came through translators that everyone wore. "Humans of Earth," the being said. Its voice was deep and somehow sad. "I am Veltharn, Arbiter of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to the community of stars. You are young, you are violent, but you are also curious and brave. We will help you grow." Ambassador Cho stepped forward and bowed. "We are honored to be here. Humanity seeks only peace and knowledge." Veltharn raised one long arm. "Peace requires wisdom. Wisdom requires patience. Your species has achieved faster than light. Travel very quickly. Too quickly, perhaps. We have seen this pattern before. Species that advance too fast often destroy themselves. Or worse, they destroy others." A screen appeared in the air above them. It showed images of dead worlds, burned cities, silent space stations. "These species did not listen," Veltharn continued. "They experimented with technologies they did not understand. They created weapons they could not control. They are all gone now." Daewon felt a chill run down his spine. The message was clear. "Obey or die. We do not want this fate for humanity," Veltharn said. And now, its voice was almost kind. "So we will guide you. We will teach you the safe path. The path all council species have followed. There are certain technologies you must not pursue. Certain weapons you must not build. Certain experiments you must not attempt. We do this to protect you." Ambassador Cho nodded slowly. "We understand. What technologies are forbidden?" Another screen appeared. It was full of technical terms and equations. Dr. Hannah Park studied it carefully. Her face grew more confused with each line she read. This doesn't make sense, she whispered to Day One. These aren't dangerous technologies. They're just advanced ones. What was that? Veltharn asked. Its black eyes fixed on Hana. Nothing, honored Arbiter, Cho said quickly. Dr. Park is simply overwhelmed by the information. Veltharn stared at them for a long moment. Then it continued. You may develop kinetic weapons. Railguns are acceptable. Energy shields beyond level 3 are forbidden. Quantum computing beyond approved parameters is forbidden. Certain branches of physics are too dangerous for young species. You will focus on the technologies we permit. You will purchase other technologies from council vendors. This is the way. Jiwan Li could not stay quiet. But, if we can only use what you sell us, won't that make us dependent on you? Well, the chamber became very quiet. Every alien eye turned toward the young engineer. Cho's face went pale. Veltharn moved closer. It studied Jiwan like a scientist examining an insect. Dependency is safety, it said softly. Independence is chaos. Chaos is death. We have maintained order in this galaxy for 10,000 years. We know what works. You have been in space for less than a century. Trust us. Of course, Cho said, pulling Jiwan back. Please forgive her youth. We will follow all council protocols. Veltharn returned to the center of the chamber. Good. To demonstrate why you must trust us, we will show you something. Captain Kim, your species maintains a military vessel called the Defender in orbit around your 4th planet. Is this correct? Day One's blood ran cold. How did they know about that? The Defender was supposed to be secret. Yes, he said carefully. Watch. Veltharn said. A new screen appeared. It showed the Defender floating in space near Mars. The ship was humanity's most powerful warship. It carried 20 railguns and armor thick enough to withstand a nuclear blast. 2,000 crew members lived aboard it. Veltharn made a small gesture with one hand. On the screen, every light on the Defender went dark. The ship went completely dead. Not destroyed. Just turned off. As easily as flipping a switch. This was done from here, Veltharn said. Across millions of kilometers. Through your shields. Past your defenses. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are toys. Your pride is dangerous. Accept our guidance, or learn why the 17 species who refused are no longer here to tell their stories. The screen vanished. The lights on the Defender came back on. Somewhere far away, 2,000 crew members were probably panicking, checking systems, trying to understand what had just happened. Ambassador Cho bowed deeply. We accept. Humanity will follow the Council's wisdom. Excellent, Veltharn said. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humans. May you live long under our protection. As they left the chamber, Day One walked beside Hana Park. She was shaking. They're not protecting us, she whispered. They're controlling us. I know, Day One replied quietly. But what can we do? You saw what they did to the Defender. We're children playing with sticks, and they have weapons we can't even imagine. Jiwan Li was walking ahead of them. She turned back, and Day One saw something in her eyes. Not fear. Anger. Maybe not yet, she said softly. But someday, Ambassador Cho heard her. He stopped walking and looked at all three of them. For a moment, Day One thought he would be angry. Instead, Cho smiled. It was a sad, tired smile. Be careful what you say here, he told them. But when we get home, we need to talk. All of us. Because I think you're right. They returned to the ship in silence. As they left the station, Day One looked back at it one last time. Somewhere in that massive structure, Veltharn was probably watching them leave, probably thinking humanity would be like all the others, obedient, controlled, safe. The Arbiter had no idea what was about to begin. The moonbase looked like any other mining operation. Gray buildings scattered across the rocky surface. Transport vehicles moving between them. Drilling equipment that dug deep into the ground. To any council observer, it was exactly what the paperwork said it was. A simple mining facility extracting rare minerals. But 30 meters below the surface, in chambers carved from solid rock, humanity's future was being built. Hyun-Woo Kang stood in the main laboratory and smiled. Around him, 50 of Earth's best scientists worked at stations filled with equipment that should not exist. Quantum computers beyond council limits. Energy field generators using forbidden physics. Prototype weapons that violated 3 different council regulations. Dr. Kang called one of the scientists. The test is ready. Hyun-Woo walked to the center of the lab. In the middle of the room sat a small metal cube. It was only 10 centimeters on each side. It did not look special. But if this worked, it would prove the council had been lying for 10,000 years. Dr. Minji Shin stood beside the cube. She was young for such an important project. Only 32. But her mind worked in ways that impressed even Hyun-Woo. She had been the one to figure it out. The one to see through the council's lies. Are you sure about this? Hyun-Woo asked her. If we're wrong, we could destroy the whole facility. Minji shook her head. We're not wrong. I've checked the math 1,000 times. The council said quantum entanglement could never be used for matter transmission. They said it would create unstable particles that would explode. They said it was impossible and dangerous. And they lied. It's not dangerous at all. It works perfectly. They just don't want us to have it. Hyun-Woo took a deep breath. Then let's prove it. Begin the test. Minji activated the machine. Energy flowed into the cube. Mathematics that the council called forbidden danced across computer screens. The air around the cube began to shimmer. Then the cube disappeared. Everyone in the lab held their breath. 5 seconds passed. 10. 20. Across the room, 30 meters away, a second machine began to glow. The air shimmered again. The cube reappeared, sitting peacefully on a platform, as if nothing had happened. The lab erupted in cheers. Scientists hugged each other. Some cried. Hyun-Woo just stood there, staring at the cube. They had done it. Teleportation. A technology the council said would take centuries to develop safely. Humanity had done it in 5 years. They lied about everything, Minji said quietly. Every restriction. Every warning. All of it was just to keep us weak. Hyun-Woo nodded. Send the data to the other facilities. Let everyone see this. And send a message to Captain Kim. Tell him we're ready to move to the next phase. Far away on Earth, Yuna Baek sat in a dark room filled with computers. She had been working for 18 hours straight. Her eyes hurt. Her back ached. But she could not stop. Not when she was so close. Yuna was an intelligence operative, one of Earth's best. While the council thought humanity was accepting their guidance peacefully, Yuna had been working to break into their systems. It had taken 2 years. 2 years of patient work, building backdoors, finding weaknesses, learning how council security worked. Tonight, she had finally gotten in. The data flowing across her screens was horrifying. Council records, going back 3,000 years. Records they thought no one would ever see. Species names she did not recognize. Dates of first contact. Dates of compliance inspections. Dates of surgical interventions. 17 species had tried to break free from council control. 17 species had refused to follow the approved technology path. All 17 were gone. Some had been bombed back to the Stone Age. Others had their entire leadership eliminated and replaced with council puppets. 3 had simply vanished. Every member of their species killed, their home worlds burned to ashes. The council called it maintaining order. Yuna called it genocide. She copied everything. Every file. Every record. Every piece of evidence. Then she carefully erased all traces of her presence and sent the data through encrypted channels to Project Prometheus. When she finished, she sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. The council seemed so peaceful, so civilized, so dedicated to protecting young species. It was all a mask. Behind it was something cold and ruthless. A power that would do anything to maintain control. Her computer chimed. A message from Captain Day 1. He wanted to meet. 3 days later, they gathered in a secret location on Earth. Day 1, Hana Park, Ji-won Lee, Hyun-woo Kang, Min-ji Shin, and Yuna Baek. 6 people who now knew the truth. Ambassador Cho was there too. He looked older than he had 3 months ago. The weight of what they were doing was aging him. Show them, Cho said to Yuna. Yuna displayed the council records on a large screen. As the others read, their faces changed. Shock, anger, fear, all of it mixed together. 17 species, Day 1 said quietly. All destroyed because they wanted freedom. The Velcor were first, Yuna explained. 2,800 years ago, they developed energy shields beyond council limits. The council gave them one warning. When they refused to stop, the council destroyed their entire military in 6 hours. Then, they bombed every major city. 30 billion dead. And the others? Hana asked. Similar stories. Some fought back. None survived. The council has weapons we can't even understand. They can disable our ships from across a solar system. They can block our communications. They can track every vessel we have. If they decide we're a threat, we won't last a week. The room was silent. Finally, Ji-won spoke. So we just give up? Accept being slaves forever? No, Hyun-woo said firmly. We be smart. The species that fought the council were alone. They were discovered before they were ready. They challenged the council openly. We don't make those mistakes. What do you suggest? Cho asked. Hyun-woo stood and began pacing. We work in secret. We build carefully. We develop the technologies the council forbids. But we hide them. We make everything look like approved research. We stay patient. And we don't challenge them until we're strong enough to survive. How long will that take? Day 1 asked. Years, maybe decades. But we have advantages the other species didn't. We know the truth now. We know what happens if we fail. And we have something the council fears. Though. Crust. What's that? Min-ji smiled. We're unpredictable. The council loves order. They follow rules. They think in straight lines. We don't. We try crazy things. We take risks. We innovate in ways they never expect. They took centuries to develop their technology, following careful, approved paths. How long did it take us to achieve teleportation? 1. A Grumman Tessigan. 1. 5 years, Hana said. Exactly. The council said it would take 200 years, minimum. We did it in 5. Because we didn't follow their rules. We didn't accept their limitations. We just tried things and saw what worked. Day 1 leaned forward. So you're saying our chaos is our weapon? Yes. Every council species developed slowly, carefully, following the same path. They're all similar now. Similar technology, similar thinking, similar weaknesses. But we're different. We're going to develop fast, in unpredictable directions, with combinations of technology they've never seen. By the time they realize we're a threat, we'll be strong enough to defend ourselves. Ambassador Cho nodded slowly. I'll need to keep playing my role. Keep them thinking we're obedient. It won't be easy, Yuna warned. They watch us constantly. Any mistake could expose everything. Then we don't make mistakes, Hyun-woo said. We expand Project Prometheus, build more hidden facilities, Recruit more scientists. But carefully. Every person who joins needs to understand what's at stake. If the Council discovers us before we're ready, humanity ends. Jiwan was taking notes on her tablet. We'll need better communication. Something the Council can't intercept. I'm working on that, Minji said. Quantum entanglement allows instant communication that can't be monitored. Give me 6 months. We'll need new ship designs. Daewon added. Ships that look normal, but hide advanced weapons and defenses. Already designing them, Hana said. Everything modular. We can install illegal tech in hours if needed, then remove it just as fast for inspections. They talked for hours, planning, organizing, building a secret resistance against the most powerful force in the galaxy. As the meeting ended, Cho pulled Daewon aside. Can we really do this? Can 6 people defeat a 10,000-year-old empire? Daewon looked at the others. Hyun-woo, brilliant and determined. Minji, young, but fearless. Yuna, patient and careful. Hana, creative and bold. Jiwon, unconventional and brave. 6 people? No. But we won't be 6 people for long. This is just the beginning. On the moon base, Hyun-woo stood in the laboratory and looked at the teleported cube. A small thing. A simple test. But it represented something the Council had said was impossible. He thought about the 17 species, the ones who had tried and failed. But they had tried alone. In the open, without preparation, humanity would be different. Humanity would be patient. Humanity would be smart. And when the time came, humanity would be ready. The cube sat on its platform, innocent and small. But Hyun-woo knew what it really was. It was proof. Proof that the Council could be beaten. Proof that their rules could be broken. Proof that humanity could rise. He smiled and got back to work. 5 years passed like water flowing downhill. Slow at first, then faster and faster. Project Prometheus was no longer one facility. It was 27. Hidden across human space in asteroid mines, deep ocean stations, and remote moons. 3,000 scientists and engineers worked in secret, developing technologies the Council had forbidden. They called themselves the Network. Dr. Sunwoo Ryu stood in the propulsion lab and watched the test engine fire. Blue light filled the chamber. Energy readings climbed higher than anything the Council ships could produce. Stable, reported one of the technicians. Temperature nominal. Efficiency at 92%. Sunwoo allowed himself a small smile. The new drive was beautiful. Not because it was pretty, but because it was impossible. According to Council physics, this design should not work. The energy requirements were too high. The field harmonics were unstable. The whole thing should explode. But it did not explode. It worked perfectly, because the Council physics were wrong. Or, rather, they were incomplete. The Council had found one way to build faster than light drives. Humanity had found another. This drive was twice as fast as anything the Council used. And it was only their 3rd-generation design. Send the specifications to Admiral Nam, Sunwoo said. He's going to want these installed on every ship we have. Admiral Jinho Nam received the specifications aboard the military station above Earth. He read them carefully, then called his senior officers together. How many civilian ships can we retrofit? He asked. All of them, replied Commander Isul Huang. The design is modular. We can install the new drives in 3 days per ship. To an outside observer, they'll look like standard Council-approved engines. But when we activate the hidden systems, they'll perform twice as well. Jinho nodded. Begin immediately. I want every human vessel upgraded within 6 months. Weapons, too. Everything Hana Park's team has developed. But make sure it can be hidden or removed quickly. If the Council inspects us, they can't find anything suspicious. What about the stealth systems? Isul asked. How far along are those? Minji Shin says they're ready for testing. The ships won't be invisible, but they'll be very hard to detect. We'll blend into background radiation. Jinho stood and looked out at Earth below. 5 billion humans lived there. None of them knew what was coming. None of them understood how close they were to either freedom or extinction. Test them, he said quietly. Test everything. Because when the Council finds out what we've done, we'll have one chance to survive. Just one. In a hidden facility on Mars, Jiwan Li was solving a problem that had bothered her for years. Council technology was standard. Every Council ship used the same basic systems, the same weapons, the same shields, the same computers. It made them reliable, but predictable. Human ships could not afford to be predictable. Jiwan had designed a modular system where every component could be swapped quickly. Weapons, shields, sensors, all of it. A human ship could be configured for exploration on Monday and converted to a warship by Friday. And if the Council inspected them on Saturday, they could remove the military equipment in hours and pass any inspection. It's like wearing different clothes, she explained to her team. Same body, different appearance. The Council will see what we want them to see. The team worked around the clock. They built components that could be assembled in dozens of different configurations. Parts that looked innocent, but could be combined into powerful weapons. Systems that seemed to follow Council regulations but actually exceeded them by enormous margins. It was the kind of creative chaos the Council would never understand. And that was exactly the point. On Earth, Unji Lim was fighting a different kind of battle. She was not a scientist or a soldier. She was a politician. And her job was to prepare humanity for what was coming. She traveled between human colonies, speaking carefully to leaders and administrators, never saying too much, never revealing the full truth, but planting seeds, making people think. Do we really need the Council's protection? She would ask. Or are we strong enough to stand alone? The Council says certain technologies are dangerous, she would say. But who benefits from us not having them? What if we could trade as equals instead of dependents? She would suggest. It was slow work. Dangerous work. If the wrong person reported her to the Council, everything could collapse. But Unji was patient. She understood that winning freedom required more than better weapons. It required people willing to use them, people ready to risk everything for independence. Slowly, colony by colony, she built support. Not everyone agreed. Many people were afraid. The Council was powerful. The Council was ancient. Who were humans to challenge them? But others listened. Others remembered that humanity had always been rebellious, always refused to accept limits imposed by others. And those people began to prepare. Ambassador Taeyang Cho stood before the Council and lied. He had been lying for 5 years now. Every report he gave them was false. Every inspection he arranged was carefully staged. Every assurance he provided was hollow. Humanity is grateful for the Council's wisdom, he said, bowing deeply to Veltharn. Our development proceeds along approved paths. We have no unauthorized research. We follow all protocols. Veltharn studied him with those black eyes. Could the ancient aliens sense the deception? Cho's heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. Your species has been very cooperative, Veltharn said finally. This pleases us. Young species are often resistant at first. They think they know better than civilizations that have endured for millennia. But you humans have shown wisdom. You accept that order is better than chaos. We learn from our betters, Cho replied, hating every word. Good. Continue as you have. In another century, perhaps humanity will be ready for more advanced technologies. Patience is the key. A century. The Council thought in centuries. They could not imagine a species changing significantly in just a few years. It was their weakness, one of many, that humanity was learning to exploit. As Cho left the Council chamber, he sent a coded message to Day One. The Council suspected nothing. They had more time. But how much time? That was the question that kept everyone in the network awake at night. In her quantum laboratory, Minji Shin achieved another breakthrough. Quantum entanglement communication was working. She could send messages instantly, across light years. Messages the Council could not intercept, could not decode, could not even detect. She tested it by sending a message to a network facility in the outer colonies. The message arrived instantly. No delay. No possibility of interception. So, we have secure communication, she reported to Hyun-woo. The Council is blind to us now. Hyun-woo felt a weight lift from his shoulders. As long as the Council could monitor human communications, the network was vulnerable. Now they could coordinate freely, share research, plan together, move as one organism instead of isolated cells. The pace of development accelerated again. Sun-woo created a fourth-generation drive, then a fifth, each one faster, each one more efficient. Hana Park designed weapons that used quantum uncertainty to bypass conventional shields. Ji-won Lee developed sensors so sensitive they could detect ships in different star systems. The technology humanity was developing did not look like Council technology. It was chaotic, unpredictable. Combinations of ideas that should not work together, but somehow did. It was innovation driven by desperation, creativity, and the human refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. What the Council had taken centuries to develop, humanity was matching in years. And not just matching. In some areas, humanity was leaping ahead. Admiral Jin Ho Nam reviewed the latest reports and felt a strange mixture of pride and fear. Pride because humanity had accomplished the impossible. Fear because they were running out of time. The Council will notice eventually, Commander, Isul said. We're too different now. Our ships move too fast. Our technology is too advanced. Someone will see something that doesn't fit. I know, Jinho replied. How much longer do we need? Dr. Shin says the teleportation drive will be ready for ship installation in 6 months. Once we have that, we'll have a significant tactical advantage. And the weapons? Ready. The shields? Ready. The stealth systems? Ready. Jinho nodded slowly. Then we prepare for discovery. Because it's coming. The question is not if the Council will find out. The question is, what we do when they do. Daewon Kim, now promoted to Admiral, assembled the network leaders on a secure channel. 27 faces appeared on his screen. Scientists, soldiers, politicians, engineers. All of them had sacrificed years of their lives for this moment. We're approaching the point of no return, he told them. Everything we've built, everything we've developed, it's all working. But we can't hide forever. Sooner or later, the Council will discover what we've done. When that happens, we have 2 choices. Submit and accept destruction, or fight back and hope we're strong enough. How strong are we? Asked one of the scientists. Daewon displayed tactical simulations on the screen. According to our analysis, we can't defeat the Council in a direct military confrontation. They have too many ships, too many species, too much experience. But we don't need to defeat them. We just need to survive long enough to prove we can't be controlled. If we can bloody their nose, show them that subjugating us will cost too much, they might accept a negotiated peace. That's a big maybe, Eunji Lim said. It is, Daewon agreed. But it's the only chance we have. The alternative is eternal subjugation. I don't know about you, but I'd rather die free than live as a slave. The faces on the screen showed different reactions. Some determined, some afraid, some excited, but all of them nodded. Then we continue, Hyun-woo said. We prepare for the day when hiding ends and fighting begins. And we hope that when that day comes, we've prepared well enough. The meeting ended. Daewon sat alone in his office and looked at a picture of Earth on his wall. So beautiful. So fragile. Humanity had come so far. From caves to cities, from horses to starships, from isolated tribes to a planetary civilization, and now they stood at another threshold. The step from subjugated species to independent power. The step the Council had prevented 17 times before. Would humanity be the 18th failure? Or would they be the first success? He did not know. But he knew they had to try. The Council knew. Veltharn stood in the intelligence chamber and studied the reports flowing across holographic displays, energy signatures that should not exist in human space, communications that could not be intercepted, ship movements that were impossibly fast. At first, these anomalies had been small, easy to dismiss as sensor errors or glitches, but over the past 6 months, they had grown more frequent, more obvious. The ancient arbiter had seen this pattern before. 17 times, across 3,000 years. A young species accepting Council guidance, then small violations, then larger ones, then open defiance. It always ended the same way. With extinction. How long have they been hiding this? Veltharn asked the intelligence officers. Unknown, Arbiter. At least 5 years, possibly longer. They have been very careful. But we are detecting quantum entanglement communications now. Advanced propulsion systems. Energy shields beyond level 3. All forbidden technologies. Veltharn felt something it rarely felt. Disappointment. The humans had seemed different. Ambassador Cho had been so cooperative, so reasonable, so willing to accept guidance. But it had all been lies. Performance. Deception. Assemble the inspection fleet, Veltharn ordered. 30 warships. We will visit the human homeworld and conduct a complete audit of their facilities. If they have violated Council law, we will find the evidence, and then we will make examples of those responsible. Should we inform them we are coming? No. Surprise inspections are more revealing. Depart immediately. The Council fleet departed within hours. 30 massive warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. They moved toward Earth like a slow storm, carrying the weight of 10,000 years of authority. On Earth, Unabake saw them coming. Her monitoring systems had been tracking Council military movements for years. When 30 warships suddenly headed toward human space, she knew what it meant. She sent an emergency alert to Admiral Day-1. One word: discovery. Day-1 received the alert during a strategy meeting with his senior officers. His blood turned cold. This was it. The moment they had feared and prepared for. The Council had found out. Now everything would be decided in the next few days. How long until they arrive? He asked. 4 days, Yuna replied through the communication channel. They are making no effort to hide. 30 warships in standard formation. They want us to see them coming. They want us to be afraid. Are we afraid? Asked Commander Izul Huang. Day-1 looked around the room. At Hana Park, who had designed weapons that violated every Council regulation. At Ji-Wan Li, who had created ships that should not exist. At Admiral Jin-Ho Nam, who had prepared humanity's defense fleet. Terror and determination can exist together, Day-1 said quietly. Contact Ambassador Cho. Tell him to expect visitors. Contact Hyun Woo Kang. Tell him to implement protocol revelation. And contact Baman-O. We need his plan now. Baman-O was a strategist who had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. His job was to answer one question. When the Council discovers the truth, how do we survive the next hour? His plan was elegant, simple, terrifying. They would not hide. They would not run. They would not beg. Instead, they would show the Council something they had never seen before. A prey species that had become a predator. We meet them at the edge of human space, Bauman explained to the assembled commanders. Not with diplomats. Not with apologies. With force. We surround their fleet. We demonstrate our capabilities. We make it clear that subjugating us will cost far more than letting us go. And then we offer terms. Peace between equals, or war, that will hurt them more than any war they have fought in centuries. That is insane, one of the commanders said. They will destroy us. Maybe. Bauman agreed. But if we show weakness, they will definitely destroy us. This way, at least we have a chance. The Council respects strength. They despise weakness. We show them strength, and we might survive. Day One studied the plan carefully. It was risky. So risky. If the Council called their bluff, humanity would be fighting for survival within hours. But what choice did they have? The 17 species who had resisted before had all tried to hide or run. All of them had failed. Humanity would try something different. Implement the plan, Day One ordered. Deploy the fleet. Activate all hidden systems. Remove all disguises. It is time the Council sees what we have really become. Across human space, civilian ships that had looked ordinary suddenly transformed. Hidden weapons extended. Advanced shields activated. Stealth systems engaged. In 6 hours, humanity had assembled 50 ships at the edge of their territory. Each one equipped with technology that should not exist. Commander Isul Huang commanded the flagship. It was called the Defiance, and it was beautiful. Sleek, fast, deadly. It carried weapons that used quantum uncertainty to bypass conventional defenses, shields that adapted in real time to any attack. And most importantly, a teleportation drive that made it impossible to pin down. The Council fleet arrived expecting to find frightened humans with primitive railguns. Instead, they found an organized battle formation using tactics and technology that should have taken centuries to develop. Veltharn stood on the bridge of the Council flagship and stared at the displays in disbelief. Human ships were everywhere. Not just in front of them, but around them. Above them. Below them. The humans had used some kind of advanced sensors to detect the fleet's arrival and position their ships perfectly. Impossible, Veltharn whispered. Their technology is not advanced enough for this. Arbiter, we are being hailed by the humans. Put it through. Ambassador Taeyang Cho appeared on the screen. But he was not bowing, not apologizing, not showing any of the subservience he had displayed for 5 years. Instead, he looked directly at Veltharn, with calm, determined eyes. Arbiter Veltharn, Cho said. We need to talk. You have violated Council law, Veltharn replied coldly. You have developed forbidden technologies. You have lied to us for years. The penalty for this is severe. The penalty is whatever you can enforce, Cho said. And enforcement just became much more difficult. Look around you, Arbiter. We are not the helpless species you thought we were. We have developed technologies you said were impossible. We have built weapons you said would destroy us. We have achieved in years what you claimed would take centuries. And we did it all while you thought we were obedient children following your guidance. Veltharn felt anger building inside. Anger and something else. Something it had not felt in a very long time. Uncertainty. You cannot defeat us, Veltharn said. We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. You have 50 ships and 1 planet. This is not a fight you can win. You are right. Cho agreed. We cannot defeat the entire Council. But we can make victory cost you more than you are willing to pay. Every ship you destroy will cost you 3 of your own. Every soldier you send to Earth will face weapons you have never encountered before. We have spent 5 years studying your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We know how you fight. You have no idea how we fight. Because we do not follow your rules. Admiral Day One appeared beside Cho on the screen. We will demonstrate, he said, just so you understand what you are facing. At his signal, one of the human ships vanished from the Council sensors. It did not move away. It did not cloak. It simply ceased to exist in one location and appeared in another, right behind the Council flagship. Weapons locked, shields active, close enough to fire but holding position. Veltharn spun around. A human ship was less than a kilometer behind them. It had teleported. Actual teleportation. Technology the Council itself had not perfected. And the humans had used it casually, as a demonstration. That is impossible, Veltharn said. You keep using that word, Commander, Isul said from her ship. But we keep doing impossible things. Maybe your understanding of what is possible is incomplete. Another human ship demonstrated its shields by allowing a Council vessel to fire at it. The weapons hit. The shields adapted. The damage was negligible. Then, the human ship fired back. Its weapon was some kind of quantum beam that phased through the Council ship's shields as if they were not there. The Council vessel took serious damage from a single shot. Veltharn was beginning to understand. The humans had not just violated regulations. They had leapfrogged entire generations of technology. They had found new approaches, new solutions, new ways of thinking that the methodical Council had never considered, and they were willing to fight. What do you want? Veltharn asked finally. Freedom, Cho said simply. No more restrictions. No more approved development paths. No more dependence on Council technology. We will trade with you as equals or not at all. We will defend ourselves with whatever weapons we choose to build. We will research whatever technologies we find interesting. You will have no authority over us. The Council cannot allow this. If we permit one species to break our laws, others will follow. Order will collapse. Then order deserves to collapse, Day One said. You do not maintain peace, Arbiter. You maintain control. There is a difference. We have seen the records of the 17 species you destroyed. Species whose only crime was wanting the same freedom you enjoy. You call it protection, but it is tyranny. And we will not accept it. Veltharn felt the situation slipping away. This was not how these confrontations were supposed to go. The young species was supposed to be terrified, begging, willing to accept any terms to avoid destruction. But these humans were offering battle, threatening to make the Council bleed for every meter of space they tried to take. You are making a terrible mistake, Veltharn warned. Perhaps, Cho replied. But it is our mistake to make. That is what freedom means. The right to succeed or fail by our own choices. We are done being children under your protection. We choose independence. The question now is whether you will accept that choice peacefully, or whether you will try to force us back into submission. Choose carefully, Arbiter, because if you choose war, we will give you one unlike any you have fought in a very long time. The communication ended. Veltharn stood in silence, staring at the human ships surrounding the fleet. After 10,000 years of unquestioned authority, the Council was being defied, and for the first time in Veltharn's very long life, the ancient Arbiter did not know what to do. Veltharn chose war. The Arbiter returned to Council space and spoke to the assembled representatives of 47 species. The message was clear. Humanity had to be stopped. If one species could break free, the entire system would collapse. Better to destroy Earth now than allow the disease of independence to spread. The Council voted. 40 species agreed. 7 abstained. None voted against. The decision was unanimous enough. They would send an armada, 200 warships, enough to crush any resistance, enough to make an example that would echo across the galaxy for another 1,000 years. The fleet assembled over 3 weeks. Ships from a dozen different species. Warriors who had fought for the Council for centuries. Weapons that had burned worlds. This was not an inspection. This was an execution. Admiral Day One watched them gather. His intelligence network tracked every ship, every weapon, every commander. 200 ships against humanity's 75. The Council had numbers, experience, and technology that had conquered galaxies. But humanity had something else. They had desperation. and creativity, and the willingness to try things that sane civilizations would never attempt. "Are we really doing this?" asked Commander Isul Huang. She stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the enemy fleet approach human space. "Fighting the entire Galactic Council? We are defending our freedom," Day One replied. "Our ancestors fought and died for it on Earth. Now we fight for it in space. The location changes. The principle does not." Dr. Hannah Park had spent the last 3 weeks preparing humanity's final surprises. Technologies so new they had barely been tested. Weapons so strange that even she was not sure they would work. But they were out of time. Everything they had would be thrown into this battle. "The quantum uncertainty weapons are ready," she reported. "The networked consciousness system is ready. The experimental shields are ready. I cannot promise they will all work perfectly, but they will definitely surprise the Council." "Surprise is all we need," Day One said. "They expect us to fight like they fight. Rigid formations, predictable tactics, conventional weapons. We do none of that. We fight like humans, chaotic, unpredictable, adaptive." The Council fleet arrived at the edge of human space like a metal storm. 200 massive warships in perfect formation. Beautiful in its way, terrible in its implications. They did not negotiate, did not offer terms. They simply advanced toward Earth. The battle began in the outer colonies. Human ships met them at the edge of human territory. The Council expected an easy victory. Railguns against energy weapons, primitive shields against advanced ones. It should have been a slaughter. It was. But not the slaughter the Council expected. The first human ship to engage was commanded by a young captain named Taiwan. His ship looked small, compared to the Council warship approaching it. But when the Council ship fired, Taiwan's shields adapted instantly. The energy weapons that should have destroyed him were absorbed, analyzed, and countered. Then Taiwan fired back. His weapon used quantum uncertainty. The beam existed in multiple states simultaneously. It bypassed the Council ship's shields because it was not entirely real until it hit. The Council warship took critical damage from a single shot. Across the battlefield, this pattern repeated. Human ships were outnumbered. But Council commanders quickly realized they were outmatched in unpredictable ways. Human vessels teleported mid-battle, appearing behind enemy formations. Human shields adapted in real time, learning from each attack. Human weapons used physics the Council had never encountered. On the second day of battle, Dr. Hannah Park activated her most radical innovation, the networked consciousness system. 75 human ships, 75 captains, all connected through quantum entanglement. Their minds linked, not controlling each other, but aware of each other, thinking together, moving together, reacting together. The Council fought as individuals, each captain making their own decisions, each ship operating independently. It was efficient. It was proven. It had worked for 10,000 years, but humanity fought as a single organism. When one ship was threatened, 5 others responded instantly. When one captain saw an opportunity, the entire fleet exploited it simultaneously. They anticipated enemy movements because 75 minds were analyzing patterns together. They adapted to new tactics because innovation was shared instantly across the entire network. It was the chaos the Council had always feared. But organized chaos, creative chaos, deadly chaos. Commander Isul Huang felt the consciousness of 74 other captains in her mind. Their thoughts, their observations, their instincts. It was overwhelming at first. But then, she relaxed into it. Let the collective guide her. And suddenly she could see the entire battlefield as one coherent picture. "The Council fights like they are playing chess," she said over the network. "One move at a time. Carefully planned. We fight like we are playing jazz. Improvising. Responding. Creating in real time. They cannot predict us because we do not even know what we will do next. On the third day, the tide turned. Council ships began withdrawing. Not because they were losing, but because the cost was too high. For every human ship destroyed, they lost 3 of their own. And the human ships kept learning, kept adapting, kept finding new ways to bypass Council defenses. Veltharn stood on the flagship and watched the tactical display with growing horror. Young species died quickly and completely, serving as warnings to others. But humanity was different. They fought with a creativity that bordered on insanity. They tried tactics that should not work but somehow did. They combined technologies in ways that violated basic principles but achieved impossible results. And they were winning. Then something happened that Veltharn had never seen in 3,000 years of service. 3 council ships stopped firing. Just stopped. Their weapons went dark. Their shields dropped. They broadcast a message to their respective homeworlds. "This is wrong," the captain said. "The Council claims to protect us, but they really control us. Humanity fights for freedom. We should be helping them, not destroying them. We refuse to participate in this genocide. Let the galaxy decide for itself how to live." The 3 ships turned and joined the human formation, their crews declaring independence from the Council, defecting in the middle of battle. Veltharn felt the foundation of 10,000 years of authority crack. If Council species were willing to join humanity, the entire system was collapsing. Fear was being replaced by hope. Order was being replaced by chaos. Control was being lost. "All ships, cease fire," Veltharn ordered. President Narration received the communication aboard the orbital platform above Earth. She was a civilian leader, elected by humanity just 2 years ago. She had not wanted this war, but she had prepared for it, and now she would end it. "Arbiter Veltharn," she said calmly, "are you ready to discuss terms?" "You cannot win this," Veltharn replied, but the words sounded hollow now, desperate. "Even if you defeat this fleet, we have thousands more ships. We will return, again and again, until you submit or die, and we will fight," Nari said. "Again and again. Until you accept, we will never submit. How many ships are you willing to lose? Arbiter, how many species are you willing to see defect? Because this is not just about humanity anymore. Every species in the Council has seen this battle. They have seen that you can be resisted, that your weapons can be matched, that your authority can be challenged. The shockwave has already begun. You cannot stop it by destroying us. You can only make it worse." On a distant world, the citizens of the species called the Torvani watched the battle broadcasts. For 800 years, they had followed Council law, obeyed Council restrictions, bought Council technology. They had accepted it because they thought there was no alternative. Now they saw humans, a species barely a century in space, fighting the Council to a standstill. Humans who had developed technology in years that took others centuries. Humans who refused to accept limits imposed by others. Protests began on Torvan. Demands for independence. Calls to develop forbidden technologies. The Torvani wanted what humanity had claimed: freedom. Similar movements erupted on 16 other worlds. Species who had served the Council faithfully for millennia suddenly questioned whether that service was voluntary or coerced. The answer was obvious, and once they saw the answer, they could not unsee it. President Narration made an offer. Immediate ceasefire. Dissolution of technological restrictions for all species. Formation of a democratic coalition to replace the Council's hierarchy. Free trade between all species. No more approved development paths. No more imposed limitations. And most importantly, we share our research freely with any species that wants it. Share your research? Veltharn was shocked. You would give away your advantages? Knowledge is not finite, explained Dr. Junho Seo. who stood beside President Song. When we share it, we all benefit. The Council kept species weak by controlling their technology. We will make everyone stronger by sharing freely. That is the difference between tyranny and cooperation. Over the next week, 23 Council species declared independence and joined humanity's coalition. They called it the Free People's Alliance. 15 species remained loyal to the Council. 9 declared neutrality, wanting to watch how things developed before choosing sides. The galaxy fractured. The 10,000-year-old Council suddenly controlled less than a third of its former territory. Species that had been obedient for centuries were conducting forbidden research, building unauthorized weapons, and refusing to accept Council inspections. Veltharn stood in the Council chamber and looked at the empty seats. More than half the representatives were gone. Those who remained looked at the Arbiter with expressions ranging from fear to anger to confusion. "What have we done?" one of them asked. "We maintained order for 10,000 years, Veltharn replied quietly. But order without consent is not peace. It is just slow violence. The humans showed everyone the truth. And now we must live with the consequences." 3 years later, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The Free People's Alliance thrived. Species that had been technologically stagnant for centuries were suddenly innovating again. Research was shared freely. Technology advanced rapidly. Problems that had seemed unsolvable for generations were solved in months through collaborative effort. Delegate R01 coordinated the alliance from a station built jointly by 12 different species, each one contributing their unique perspectives and technologies. The station was chaotic, disorganized, beautiful. "This is what the Council feared," she said to a visitor. "Not the weapons, not the technology, but this. Cooperation without control, innovation without restriction, freedom without permission." They feared it because once it started, they could not stop it. Captain Daewon, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, toured the new generation of ships being built cooperatively by 4 species. Each design incorporated ideas from different civilizations: human creativity, Torvani precision, Kelvin intuition, Marathi aesthetics. The result was extraordinary. Dr. Hannah Park worked in a laboratory with scientists from 7 species. They were developing technology none of them could have created alone. She had spent decades hiding her research. Now, she shared it freely, and it came back to her multiplied, improved by perspectives she had never considered. Jiwon Lee taught engineering to students from 20 different species. She showed them the human approach. Try things. Fail. Learn. Try again. Do not accept that anything is impossible until you have tested it yourself. The students loved her. The Council would have hated her. Hyunwoo Kang looked at what Project Prometheus had become. No longer a secret resistance, but an open research institution. Thousands of scientists working together. Not because they were forced, not because they were controlled, but because they chose to, because they were free. The old Council still existed. 15 species who preferred order to chaos, predictability to innovation, control to freedom. They watched the alliance with a mixture of fear and resentment. Sometimes they predicted the alliance would collapse into violence and disorder. But years passed, and it did not collapse. Admiral Daewon stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at Earth below. Humanity had come so far. From railguns to teleporters, from controlled species to galactic revolutionaries, from subjects to partners, the shockwave they had created was still spreading, reaching into the dark spaces between stars, finding species who had never known freedom, showing them another way. And somewhere out there, in unexplored regions of space, someone received a message. It contained all of humanity's research, all of the Alliance's discoveries, freely given, along with one simple phrase: the only real limitation is the one you accept. The galaxy would never be the same.